Okay, so after a little bit of finagling, I think I have it working again with the right sound settings. I have no idea why this keeps resetting its menu stuff. I have it excluded in Windows Defender, the manage controlled folder access option where you can like put in exceptions. It's been long AF. The last time I recorded this was this is the middle of December. The last time I recorded this was like late September, early October, I think. So, anyway, let's get back to it. First off, I remember crab. I remember crab. Yes, crab. We are going to continue with crab to get that stupendous elemental damage bonus. Okay, yes. Alright. Fantastic. Now, skills. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Find Barrowholm, huh? Alright. I do remember that we were going through... Yes, the Oogden Bog. Alright, that's kind of chunky. I hope it's not too loud. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit on my end. Just the whole thing down a little bit. I had to reset all this, so I don't know if it's in the same position it was prior, but... Hey, whatever. So, things have been kind of, hectic lately for a couple of different reasons in my personal life, which is one of the reasons I kind of stopped uploading. But yeah, I figure I'll finish out this playthrough of Grim Dawn, and then I'll start my next main topic, video series, which will probably be like Elden Ring or, some other Souls-like, because I just kind of feel like playing through a Souls-like. It might take me a bit to get back in the saddle, so to speak, of like, you know, doing commentary. Also, I'm not really sure where I'm even supposed to be going. I assume up there, yeah? Out this way? Oh, right. I think I had just gotten... Right, I had to go through a whole, like, bonus dungeon, didn't I? Okay, hold on. Let me get, the shrines up. Obviously, I need the, that wonderful Steam guide. I'm going to shout out the name of the guy who did, well, guy, you know what I mean, the person who did that every time that I use it. And I remember to, anyway. Because it is such a good guide. I appreciate anyone who makes guides like this. Luciphus? Let me see, Luciphus? That's the Steam guide. You should go ahead and give them a little thumbs up or something for doing that, because it is a really good guide. Also, as is common for whatever reason, I promise I don't plan this, but I just ate a ton of dark chocolate, these like seed clusters with like pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and stuff. And, yeah, I'm gonna have some gastric stuff going on. Okay, so the Den of the Ancient was the one that I just took on, right? Yeah, that was this over here. No, that was the ancient grove, wasn't it? Ugdenbog Rift. Where is the Ugdenbog Rift? Is this the Ugdenbog Rift? That's the Coven's Refuge Rift. Okay, so I need to... I need to take a second. Hold on. What? Where is the Ugdenbog Rift? Because it's confusing. It's confusing me because I figured that we are already in Ugdenbog, right? Right? Oh, there's the Ugdenbog Rift. Okay, we're not there yet. Alright. Alright, alright, alright. Let me turn that down a little bit. I like the music in this game, typically, but again, it's just like overpowering a bit. Distracting. Okay, so we were trying to power through the Ugdenbog. Which, again, I don't remember, like, we're getting into the part of the game that I remember the least. I sort of remember the, so this is Ashes of Malmuth. The other one is, like, the Forgotten Gods, that's it. I sort of remember the Forgotten Gods stuff, because I did that more times than the Ashes of Malmuth stuff, and the reason why is that you can actually, access the Forgotten Gods campaign really early on, actually. Like, you don't have to do any of it after you beat, like, Ashes of Malmuth or the, main campaign. Like, you could just go ahead and start it, I think, after you kill, the Warden guy? Warden Krieg, or whatever his name is.
Can't do that yet.
Oh, goodness. Now, one reason, again, why I sort of dropped off playing this in particular is because I don't really have a whole lot to say since I'm not really that familiar with this part of the game. I do like that crabs are an enemy. I'm always a fan of killer crustaceans. The artillery lob from the, like, poison plants nearby, I'm not sure how I feel about that as a, like, mechanic. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just not really sure how I feel about it. Like, because it is kind of annoying to have something just sort of, lobbing stuff at you from basically off-screen. But it's not that bad. It's not like it actually functions as artillery. It doesn't do like a ton of damage. Though, yeah, we've got kind of high acid resist, so that might be why. I don't know. A flamethrower of scorching. The stone core of a swamp golem proven to be... Okay, I just want to see, like... Oh, that requires level 55. Okay, well, we'll just shove that in the back bag. And continue. Okay, so I'm looking out for... So we've gotten the Gloomwald one, the Ancient Grove, the Den of the Ancient... Okay, the Den of the Ancient's the next one. Near the Ugdenbog Rift. Well, I'm sure that as we cut our way through here, we'll get that landmark and then be able to, from that landmark, work our way backwards to find out where the next devotion shrine is. I mean, it can't really be stressed enough that the thing that I like and dislike about the devotion shrine system in this game is that it feels like I get why they did it. but it also feels like something that I almost kind of wish was just part of the game rather than almost like a sub-quest, if that makes sense, because you are kind of doing almost a fetch questy kind of thing. I don't know why, but Assassin's Creed came to mind, and specifically Assassin's Creed Black Flag. If you haven't played that, that game is good. I love that game. Honestly, I think it was probably the last Assassin's Creed that was good. And in my opinion, it was the best one. I loved that game. That game is just great, but... kind of like how in games like that, where you get upgrades through, you know, doing sub-quest style, like, open world objective stuff. I'm not saying it's an illegitimate way to gate upgrades. It's just that in a game where you're doing a, like, isometric, isometric. I've been working too much with logic lately. Whenever you're doing with an isometric perspective, action RPG, I don't know, man, it feels kind of weird to have such a significant amount of your character's strength gated behind, like an open world objective, like collectathon almost, kind of deal. I don't know. I'm just remembering that I did actually want to, go farm reputation with the rovers to go get the quest to unlock that one devotion shrine. I'm not sure if I'll do that in this recording session. Okay, so we've already been here. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do that in this recording session, but I'll consider it. I mean, showing it off won't be that bad, it's just that it is still farming, you know? Like I said, there's not really much for me to say about the enemies here. I haven't really played enough of this expansion enough times. To be fair, I think I said it in one of the episodes in the last recording session or the one before it, that I haven't really played much of the content beyond the main story. I've replayed a lot of the main 4 acts, but I haven't really replayed or done much of the DLC stuff. The main reason being is that I always found it kind of like weird to do DLC stuff. Like, to do the Forgotten God stuff before beating the main story, and this game is so long that I'd often get to a point where I would take a break and then I'd come back and I wouldn't know what I was doing with my character, and then I'd just basically go like, oh well, why don't I just start a new character, and then, you know, hence I would replay the first like 3 acts over and over. I mean, I still enjoyed the game a lot doing that, but, you know, it does mean, like I've stated, I think, that I'm not really that up on any of the stuff in this section of the game. One thing I will say, and I think I did comment prior, that I love the art direction. Like, this game's art direction is amazing. I will keep saying that because it is stellar. I mean, like, the whole giant statue thing in the middle of nowhere, being gripped by vines, like, just the whole aesthetic, like the ruins and whatnot.
That skill's not ready.
Okay. I'm not really sure where ghost crabs come into the theme, though, especially not in such a bright area. I mean, I'm not complaining, it's just I'm just not really sure where that comes into things. Like, why that was a decision to make ghost crabs. Alright, we're just gonna keep moving on. As usual, clearing out the map. Not just so that we don't fall behind in levels. Like, the more you clear out, the more you get, as far as... I mean, obviously, right? But... I mean... I'm not really sure how often it happens at this stage of the game. And I think I have mentioned it before, but you can get to the point where you're sort of almost behind the curve. And like I said, I know that that can happen later, rather, like, the reason why I said it that way is because I was thinking, like, later in the early game, though that's kind of a clunky way to say, like, Acts 2 and 3, that you could have spots where it's harder because your character is a little bit behind in XP, for what they're dealing with. But, like, as far as this late into the game, I'm not really sure if that ever happens, and I'm not really sure what the minimums for the level scaling is. Like, right now, we've got, you can see the levels of the stuff here. It's like 54, 53. Yeah, like, I'm not sure if you get here at level 40, if the stuff will be level 40 is what I'm getting at. Got some Diet Coke here. I'll probably get some tea later on into the recording session. I'm not sure how long I'll go on this, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of determined to finish it out. As I kind of put in my recent intro video that's of Slay the Spire, and I guess I'll explain here a bit, since, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot to comment on regarding the actual area and the enemies within, other than, obviously, our elemental damage is kind of coming in handy here. Because, again, whenever you don't have good targets for physical, having some kind of other, and it doesn't have to be elemental, but this is why I'm not, like, such a big fan of people saying that mixed damage in various games is, like, always bad. That seems to be a consistent take that I see from Elden Ring to, like, MMOs that I used to play to, like, Warframe, and I've played a lot of Warframe. Like, there's a consistent through line where people have this idea that mixed damage is bad, and it's really... I know I've made the case a number of times already, where it's not so much that it's always bad, but that it's situationally maybe not the best sometimes, and depending on the system, it's just kind of like, you know, meh. Like it's not going to get you the big whopping damage, but it will be kind of consistent, like consistently average. Which I get that for some people that's not something that they want. They want to, like, maximize for each encounter, but as a general meta strategy, unless you're dealing with a system where you can regularly expect enemies to have, like, resistances such that you'll be cut more for having split damage than you will be for having, like... Because here's the thing. Again, it depends on what you're dealing with, because if you're dealing with percentage damage, a reduction, 50% is 50%. So if you have 500 physical... Okay, let's just keep this in the realm of tens, right? If you have 100 physical damage, and the enemy has 50% physical damage resistance and 0% magic resistance, you're going to have your physical damage cut. Oh, Mysteries of Uchtenbog, huh? I'll show that up on screen real quick while I yammer on. Let me slowly... Okay. But I know that I've made this explanation again, but it always is worth... I know that I've made this explanation before, but again, it's like... it's always worth kind of thinking about these things instead of just going, oh yeah, that makes sense. 100 physical damage, 50% gets you cut to 50. And they have 0% magic resist. If you instead had 50 magic resist, 50 physical, you'd be doing 75 total damage to that enemy. Now, if they had 50 just flat physical damage resistance, and you did 100 physical damage, you'd be doing 50 physical damage with 100. But if you had 50 magic and they still had 0 magic resist, you might be doing minimum damage or 0 damage, depending on how the game calculates, like, completely negated damage. Most games, for reasons that I hope are obvious, if you have, like, say, 50 flat resistance and you do 50 damage of that type, you'll still do 1 damage. So, like, you would instead, with the 50 flat physical, be doing 50 magic and then 1 physical, which is still obviously more than the 50 physical, but the point is that you're not losing anything, right? With that split damage example. The particular reason why it gets bad is, so it's not that big of a deal if you have 50% magic and 50% physical damage resistance if you have 50 of each. Because then you're still doing 50 total damage, because it cuts each one down to 25, and then, you know, even if you only had 100 magic or 100 physical, if it's 50% of each, and you are doing 50 each, you still go to 25 and do what you would be doing total regardless. Where it gets gnarly is whenever you're dealing with flat damages, damage resistances, wherein, instead of just, say, 50% magic and 50% physical, you were dealing with like 30 magic resistance flat and then 20 physical resistance flat, then yeah, you're going to be having your damage cut from like 50 each down to a pretty minuscule amount. But that's still not that bad, all things considered. And if your enemy that you fight next has 100 of one and none of the other in flat resistance, you're still going to, like, be covered, if that makes sense, even if you're not going to be doing maximal damage. Like, you're never going to be useless. And that's kind of the main takeaway of split damages in general and why I like them, but you have to know what you're dealing with, sort of, and kind of manage your percentages, and because, again, like, we look at this guy's stats. I think it's having, so 33%, and then having, so it's 53%, yeah. I think I actually wanted to upgrade this again, didn't I? I might, to get it to 60%. But the point is that you kind of want to, like, as I know I have explained, and I would have to, like, look over everything again to kind of refresh my brain on the exact plan that I had and the exact calculations and the doohickery that I was doing with the percentage bonuses of the various interactions between, like, the physical damage increases from this guy's skills and how that translates into the elemental damage increases and stuff. But the point is that if you can manage your split damages in a way that ends up with you getting, like... Oh, hold on. I think I recognize that spot. Yeah, holy crap, did I just walk right past it like an idiot? I think I did. I was so absorbed in, like, what I was talking about. But the point is that if you can manage split damages and you can make the bonuses work for you in a way that kind of, in a really goofy sort of sense, puts you over what you're supposed to be getting. And now I just want to refresh it for my own sake, because I know that, like, Yeah, so this is like plus 65% physical damage. And then this is a whole crap load of physical damage on top. So as you can kind of see here that our physical damage is getting boosted by a ton, right? And then we get a plus 65% to all damage, which I'm not even sure what kind of ghastly percentage interactions that works on with this, but plus 100% elemental damage. And then we have like a total 50% right now and 60% in a bit of our damage converted to elemental damage. Yeah, so you can kind of get the idea that we have our physical damage increased by a lot, and then we have, of that physical damage, turned into elemental damage, and you get the idea. Like I said, I've explained it before. I'd have to go back and... because I didn't exactly sit here and study my guys' like percentages and how they interact or whatever, but the gist is that whenever you're talking about having like 500 physical damage that then gets plus, you know, again, let's just go with 100 physical damage, it gets plus 50% damage to 150, and then you do that physical damage and it gets converted half of that, you know, 75 into elemental damage, and then that gets through another filter and on. Like, you're dealing with stacking, like ridiculous stacking damage values that end up kind of being a little silly. Like, it can be a little silly. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be here. At least that's where it shows it. On the map. Yeah, like right here on the map. Okay, well, I guess I'll walk around and see if we can find it further in. I don't know why it's there and not here. Like, why it's there on that map and it's not here on the actual... What the heck? Oh, I have to, like, activate that, alright. It's so nice being a ranged character. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, crap! Well, look at that! The Ancient of the Waters, who's going to murk me. Wow, alright. Trying not to die. Okay. So that's the attack that I guess almost killed me.
That skill's not
Okay. Trying to avoid death. Watery, icy death. Okay. Uh-oh. I think I might be biting the big one. Yep, there we go. Goodness. Okay, that's not a very large area to be dealing with that in. Also, that kind of stinks. I really should have put down a teleporter. So yeah, the main thing is that I forget exactly how I'm... So right, like, if this is plus 100% elemental damage, and it applies to this, like to the elemental damage that I'm doing from being the elemental damage I'm doing from converted physical damage, right? So the idea is, and I know I've explained it before, but bear with me. You do that 75 as half of the 150 from the 50% increase, right, to the physical damage. So now you're doing 75 physical, 75 elemental. Then you get 100% damage increase, and now you're doing 150 elemental and 75 physical. Right? You've effectively gotten a 75%, not 75%, a 50% conversion up over to elemental, and total you go from doing 150 to what, like 225? So that's like 225 total from what would have been 150. You get the idea? It's kind of like it's like weird, it's like juggling almost. Like you're juggling your damage to try to like and I mean, in games where it works that way, and I'm not sure entirely if it works that way in this, I think it does. You know, because that would make sense that the 100% elemental damage buff would then be done to the damage. You get what I mean? Like, otherwise, why would this be attached to it? To Iskandra's, like, why would they attach this as a modifier, right? But the idea is that you're basically like laundering your damage to get more damage. If you watch my channel intro video, it's kind of like those ritual cards from Magic the Gathering, where like you pay 1 mana to get 2 mana. It's that kind of thing. Like, you're taking some of your damage, like your physical damage, to launder it so that you have more damage total. And you know, it may seem rather dim to do that until you kind of consider that doing more damage total is going to be worth it in total if, again, as described, like you come across an enemy with percentage-based resistances, you're not really losing anything, right, by having, if both resistances are 50%, you're not losing any damage. And if anything, you have to have, in percentage-based resistance schemes, they have to have more resistances to more efficiently, like more kinds of resistances, I mean. Like, they have to have more kinds of resistance to more effectively resist your damage. Which means that you have the advantage of, like, getting around resistances. Which isn't something to, like, scoff at. Now, with flat resistances, it can be a little trickier, granted, but still, I don't think it's ever a bad thing, especially whenever you're doing something like a one-button run where you're locked into, like a one-button run in Grim Dawn, where you're locked to the one method of attack. So you kind of need it to be a workhorse that can attack everything, at least with mediocrity, right? Like, even if you're not being hyper-efficient against anything in particular, you're at least not hyper-deficient against anything in particular. And it's worth noting, if I remember right, the elemental damage in this is technically like fire, ice, lightning all at once, like split into 3. So say you're doing like 90 elemental damage, if I remember right, it technically hits as 30 fire, 30 ice, 30 lightning. So that's not bad either, because you're getting more, like, resistance dodging that way, if that makes sense. And by the way, the reason why this guy threw me for a loop is like I didn't realize that the, hold on, I'll wait till it happens again, like the ice meteor thing. Wait for it. I will definitely have to be dealing with it again.
That's locked.
Ooh, goodness, that slap, that right there, the falling ice meteor thing, it's kind of locked to one area a little bit. So I was like running around panicking, not realizing you don't have to do that to dodge it. It's kind of like that attack, it locks into like one area. Oh crap.
Ready.
Oh hey, we did it. Slay Craval, Ancient of the Waters, alright. Solid. Aggressive shoulder guards. Assault Epaulettes of Blight. Okay, but I like the plus whatever % physical damage, so we'll be keeping that. Also, yeah, this is just another Ligorian. Yeah, I'm confused because... Oh. Okay, I'm dim. It says right on the thing, so the one that's over here, the one that's supposed to be in air quotes, right here, it's only there on ultimate difficulty. So that's one of the ones that only shows up on a different difficulty. Alright. That's good to know. Hey, I mean, hey, you know, at least I still did the thing. Offed the guy. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with defeating an optional boss. Yeah. It's content. It's content. Don't worry about it. It's content. That's what we just did. Content. And gave me an excuse for the umpteenth time to go over my own grand theory of why hybrid damage isn't that bad, actually. I'm serious, like, I know I harp on it a lot throughout this playthrough, and I probably will again, because that's just how I am, but it really does sort of get me in a way that people make an argument. Like, it's the... And I've probably mentioned this before too, but... If you play Elden Ring, hear me out. If you get to level 40 Vigor, right? Instead of spending those extra 20 levels in more Vigor, you can spend those extra 20 levels in more Endurance and get better armor. And the resistance passive that you get from that better armor that you can now equip is worth as much health as getting that extra 20 Vigor, and you can carry just more stuff. I don't know, man. Like, that's the way I look at it, is that you carry more stuff and you have more stamina. Like, armor is worth more than just health, because having more, like, heavier armor is secretly just having more health. That's it. Like, it's just it. Okay, the thing is that where we're supposed to go is up here. I think. So yeah, I guess we'll just turn around. I don't mind the idea of clearing out the rest of the map, but, I mean... I'm kind of wanting to get the crab, because I am very excited to see how much more damage we do with the crab. Let me take a look at the crab again. Plus 60% elemental damage. And then plus 100% burn, frost burn, and electrocute. The actual real thing there is the 15% elemental resistance. I mean, having the extra damage over time is is kind of cool, but having more, like having innate elemental resistance means that we can focus on having resistance elsewhere whenever it comes to armor picks. So there's that Ugdenbog. Okay, where's the next? Okay, so the next one is at southeast of the Barrowholm Rift in the Ancient Ruins entrance. Yeah. Okay. And I want to say this doesn't just lead back, but it looks like it does just lead back, like it was an alternate way up there. Okay, those guys do a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Goodness gracious. Maybe I need, like, physical resistance? I didn't think I was behind on armor. Oh, you're right. It's because I've got the Explorer stuff. Yeah, I am way behind on armor just because of that. I mean, the experience gained bonus is so good, and the longer you have it on, and the more stubborn you are about that, like... I mean, dude... Yeah, so that was just an alternate way around, alright. Yeah, like, dude, the longer you have that on, the better it is, right? Speaking of... I just need the Explorer's cover. I guess I need to look up where I can get that. Or not. I mean, 50% reduced stun, freeze, and petrify duration is cool, but, like, do we really need that? That's a question for the ages. Like, I think just having that, like, halving that, like, H-A-L-V-I-N-G. I know that my accent and stuff can kind of make it hard to tell whenever I'm saying, like, halving or having. Like, halving or having. But, like... To simplify this, to cut that in half, I don't think is going to really save you. You know, it's one of those things like if you get slowed or petrified, you're probably going to die. Like, it's probably not going to... It's something that even if it happens for a split second at the wrong time, it's not really going to make that... You know, it's not going to make that much of a difference if you die instantly from it happening. Is what I'm getting at. Like, this is one of those games where you can get bodied very shockingly quickly, and having that happen for even a moment can be the difference between you winning an encounter and you losing an encounter. Okay, so I'm trying to... You know, I'm trying to be a clever guy about this and figure out by where it is on the little preview thingy on the guide where I need to go from the... And if you go look at the guide, you'll understand why I'm like where, you know, having difficulty. If you've ever seen the meme of the guy like looking at the scroll and he's just like, what the heck am I reading? Like, the reason why I'm doing that is because A, it's a tiny little picture on my phone, and B, because it doesn't actually show where the... And I know it's a big picture, in terms of like how much of the map it's showing, but it's like showing it after the Ugdenbog Rift, so I'm not really sure where the it's like there's a problem with continuity, I guess is the way I'd put it. Like, I don't know where it is in relation to where this is. That makes sense? Laria's Den, huh? Okay. Let's go into the witch's hut. What could go wrong? I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it will be fine.
I don't know who you are, but please leave.
Wow, lady. That is none of your concern.
I don't know who you are, but please leave.
Okay. Well, I mean... Alright. That's odd. Okay, whatever. Lady, do you know that you have a bunch of, like, violent... tree spirits outside your house? I think that's gonna depreciate the property value. Okay, whatever.
I can't do that yet.
It's like, okay. Whatever. Kind of makes me think of Dragon's Dogma, where, Celine, I think her name is, has the freaking, is it a... I think it's just a regular golem, but this Celine has, like, a golem outside of her house, and it's like, what the heck? You have an actual, like, violent, magical creature outside of your home. Okay, then. Like, whatever. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's probably a quest item, isn't it? Do I already have some? Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it. I want to try that. I want to see what it does. It says it's a flamethrower. I want to see if it is an actual flamethrower. 1.5 attacks per second? Nah, it can't be. It can't be the cool kind of flamethrower at a minimum. Those are some incredible pants! Honestly, I want them just because they give plus 5% movement speed, and that is like the biggest reason why I'm not a fan of, like, getting rid of these pants. It's because I want the movement speed. The problem is the lack of poison and acid resistance, and I need poison and acid resistance, if you could tell. Like, this place is so full of poison and acid, I mean, you'd think Dow Chemical would be trying to set up shop here. Like, holy crap. I think it's Dow, right? Like, Dow is the chemical company? Like, D-O-W? Yeah, you'd think, like, Dow Chemicals would be setting up shop here. I mean, let alone, like, Umbrella Corp, to bring in a fictional example. I had the thought the other day that, you know, speaking of Umbrella, and I might play, like, one of the Resident Evil games as a game on my channel eventually. I do love those games, I just haven't played them in a while. My favorite is Resident Evil 5, just because of how stupendously dumb that game is. I love it. I love Resident Evil 6 too, but nothing quite beats a man punching a boulder in a volcano, ignoring all laws of thermodynamics, I mean, just all laws of physics, really, that you could think. I'm sure if there's a law of physics, it's been broken in Resident Evil 5's storyline, and I love that. Resident Evil 6 is cool, but what the... A trap chest, huh? Neek Dugald. Okay. You know, guys, if you just put, like, a hey, don't open this, like, post-it note on the chest, I wouldn't have opened it. Most people aren't rude. Oh, it's like a family, the Dugald trio. Okay. Neek, Friss, and Alia.
That skill's not ready.
Dugald. Alright. I have no idea who these people are, other than angry. Okay. So, well, that's not something we're gonna be using. Wow, look at that damage per second. Oh, man. Minus 5,500 damage. Yeah, bro. What a... That's something. That's a weapon of all time right there. Okay, that might be actually a decent, that might not be a decent, that might not be a bad replacement, aka that might also be a decent replacement. I tried to say both things at the same time for our current headgear. Yeah, I had the thought the other day, speaking of Resident Evil and like pharmaceutical companies and such, like, but mainly the whole bioweapon side of things, that, you know, bears just kind of are a bioweapon. Like, if you could just figure out how to make a bear reliably hungry and then drop it in an area, it would cause enough havoc. Like, you don't need to be mutating wildlife. You could just have a hungry bear and drop it somewhere. I say that because, there's like this weird thing about bears going on in Florida, like something about people wanting to keep people from hunting bears, and it's like, guys, you know that bears are like hideously dangerous, right? Like, the reason why you want to control the population of bears is because bears are terrible. Like, don't get me wrong, I like bears. I like basically every kind of animal that you can think of, including the ones that you probably would be shocked that anyone likes. But, bears are like a different kind of danger. Canids, what they have separate from, like, felines, like felinids, like foxes and, small cats and, big cats. You know, so canids are like seals. Yeah, seals. Dogs, you know, like dogs and wolves. And, bears, like, what they have different from felines is that felines kill their prey before they eat it. Canids typically do not. So if you're attacked by a bear, like, the difference between qualitatively, like your quality of life in a bear attack versus your quality of life in a, like, lion attack, is that the lion will probably kill you in a very horrendous way. I mean, lions... One of the ways that lions kill humans in particular, that's not really talked about, you know, people think about them like snapping your neck or whatever, which is a thing that happens. But what lions will do to people is that they'll jump on them, like pin them so their front paws are on your shoulders, and then they'll rake their back claws through the belly to, like, disembowel you, as they then, like, you know, go for the jugular. But they'll make sure you're dead before they start eating you. Bears don't do that. Bears will just start eating your, like, they'll just shove their their muzzle into your guts and start eating you. Like, they don't care how loud you scream. They might even, like, hit you a little bit to get you to shut up. But they really don't care. Which is why it's kind of a qualitatively different thing to be like, oh, well, we don't care if the bears are, you know, this or that. Like, we care about animal rights and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, but, like, if even one human child goes through that, you're a monster, you know? Like, you should probably be okay with people controlling bear populations, even if it's a little bit unsavory to your moral sensibilities, right? Like, but, yeah, that got me thinking, like, there's a lot of reasons why bears are, in particular, terrifying. Did I already do this area? I feel like I did an area like it. But, one of them is that they're plantigrade, and just the way that their musculature and their skeletal system works, you're talking about something that can do like pro wrestler moves. Plantigrade meaning, you know how a human foot is flat, like the way that our feet are? You know how like a dog is what you'd call digitigrade? Like it's on its sort of like the pad. So if you look at your hand, where that like area underneath your four fingers, right? Like that you've seen like the pad of a cat's foot, right? Like how they're digitigrade, like rabbits and dogs and stuff are digitigrade. And then you've got ungulates, which stand on their nails, right? Like, so that's what a horse's hoof is, it's its nail. Bears, like humans, are plantigrade, which means that our whole, you know, the whole thing down to the wrist is what you're standing on. That's also different from big cats. That's kind of why big cats, they have a whole lot of forward, like, burst motion, but they're kind of bad at the whole, you know, turning on a dime thing. You try to run past a bear, and it will rear up and slap you and knock that notion right out of your head. You try to, like, get around a bear behind it, and it can just, like, do weird... Think like Zangief. Like, bears are basically Zangief. Street Fighter. They can just do all sorts of weird crap. Again, it's just a completely different kind of danger in an animal. And the reason why I'm going on about all that is, like, this sort of environment's kind of just asking for more bears. So if they do add bears in the new DLC that's coming up, and I hope they do, like, it would be kind of welcome. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure that there are bears in this game. If there are, I don't remember them. This game might have an absence of bears, and that's kind of sad. There's boars, and boars are dangerous, but, you know... Like, the ultimate enemy really is kind of the bear. Just another stupid tangent for me to mouth off about. I think about stuff like that just kind of to amuse myself at random, but it is kind of interesting how deep you can go on a rabbit hole just thinking about something as innocuous as why a bear is dangerous, you know? Thunderbloom, huh? Okay.
Can't do that yet.
I'm not entirely sure why I'm going through this area, but, I mean, hey, at least it's XP. I'm kind of wondering / hoping that this is where the devotion shrine is. Okay, let me just, like, plant this down here. Oogdenbog Mossflinger. Alright. Let's just get rid of the ads. Oh, Silvaria, Queen of the Undergrowth, huh? Alright. So the gimmick here just seems to be there's nowhere to heal. Like, just very cramped quarters. Alright. Trying to focus here. This doesn't seem all that dangerous, but I'm worried that because these enemy types have shown a propensity to have like a rebirth effect, that this thing's gonna pop back up. Okay, the achievement was called So Others May Grow. Kill Silvaria in the Undergrowth. Okay. I'm not entirely sure that that was worth it, but we got a lot of XP out of it, and I had a reason to run my mouth about the dangers of earth sign, what's the word? Like ursine musculature? Like the way that bears are sort of built. I mean, that's a topic I could go on all day, is like how dangerous different kinds of animals actually are, and why you should probably be very, very glad that we don't have to deal with them in the daily lives of the commons, because... Now, I read this somewhere, and I'm not really sure how true it is, that the modern word for bears, like bear, is a, through the ages kind of corruption of a word that originally meant like honey eater, and itself was a euphemism. And the actual name that bears used to have has been lost, because people used to have a superstition that if you spoke of something it might summon it. And bears were so terrifying that people just referred to it so often by its euphemism, in case they might accidentally summon one, that they, that the original word was lost. I'm not sure how true that is, but it's funny, so I like, you know, the idea. I think I'm gonna have to cut the video soon, but I'll be back in a bit. Continue recording. Just kind of want to get to some kind of progress point, like definitive progress point. Is this what I was looking for? Come on. Ancient Ruins entrance! Yes, 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 this is what I was looking for. I just want the devotion shrine. I'm not really interested in, like... Oh, especially not since it's full of undead. Goodness. I mean, we don't have to worry too much about the undead because of our elemental damage, but still. Alright, let's, upgrade our crab. I mean, 18% pierce resistance is kind of cool, right? That is gonna be like chef's kiss, like, just excellent. That's gonna be excellent. Alright. I'll be back in a moment.